Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back to life.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Made for Monday podcast episode. My name is Joe. I'm your host today. And who do I have with me?
That was so good, Joe.
I know.
right under breathe. It's such a good job. Hi, I'm Jamie.
Hello,
Hey,
I'm
Jamie.
Adrian.
Hi, Adrian. Hi, I'm Rochelle.
Hi, Rochelle.
Well, welcome, everyone. We had a very busy weekend, I assume, Mother's Day weekend and all the things that came with it. What did we do?
We celebrated Mother's Day on Saturday.
Nice.
And went to Neat Bird down in Greenbrier.
Place is good.
Really good. And got all the pounds of nuggets and and got there at happy hour, which makes it
Yeah.
just a
happy.
deal. Yeah. Yeah, so it was great. And got to hang out with the grandkiddos there. And yeah, it was super fun.
Nice.
And then Sunday, Bonnie went and hung out with Sarah down in Virginia Beach and went shopping and had breakfast. And it was just a lovely day, I think, for her. So that was good. And the follow-up to the outlet, the hardware for my table came in. And so I put it together Sunday afternoon, and it is all completed.
You
right.
did?
I did, yeah.
Did you get a refund for the?
I did for the assembly. I got a
great.
refund for the
Yeah.
assembly. I just paid for the delivery. So, yeah.
That worked out okay.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Start to finish, how long did this patio furniture take?
Well, it was the
That's
project
nice.
itself was bigger than just patio furniture,
Yeah.
but the whole thing's. I think we started back in early March. I think.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's been a minute.
Well, everybody will be writing down that Jamie now has the expert skill of putting
right.
these things together because many don't.
Yeah.
I'm very. Wait till you hear the opening story from this week's message before anyone asks me to help them put something together.
Duly noted.
Yes.
Ladies, what y'all do this weekend?
What about you?
So I take notes. Saturday was football, which is always really fun. And then we are working to get our house on the market and see if we can sell it and move a little closer over this way.
Yeah.
So we spent all the day decluttering and reorganizing, and it was really fun. I love purging. I love throwing things away.
I was going to say I'm shocked that there's anything to organize.
That's what everyone's saying. They're like, what are you getting rid of?
Right.
Like, I will find things. Yeah, so we've been doing that. And then we had Mother's Day with my mom at her apartment, which
Nice.
was really fun. It was just like such a nice, relaxing day. She loves like being in the kitchen, cooking, dancing, and all of that. So that's what we did with her and had like a fresca meal. One of the best meals I've had in a long time. My sister helped to assemble these vegan Baja like fish tacos.
Oh, nice.
It was so good. Soy, you can replace fish with soy. And
Yep.
it was
Yum.
just the most delicious thing ever. So
Oh, that's
that
great.
was a really good time. Yeah. Just
Soy
hanging
tacos.
with family. Soy tacos.
Yum.
Yum. I'll bring you some.
It probably tastes
I'll
the
bring
same.
you some.
Yeah, it was really good. So that was our weekend.
Awesome.
Very nice.
How about you?
I was in Smithfield proper on Friday, our Saturday, and I went to a restaurant called Taste of Smithfield.
Oh yeah,
So good.
really good. I love that place.
They do this thing. They make their own French fries and they do it in a weird shape. It's kind of like it's like a curly fry, but it's fat and long. It looks more like an
I've had
onion
those.
ring.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And they put all sorts of
good stuff on them.
non-plant-based things
Yeah, I've checked.
atop. And it's so good. It's
Not
very
soy.
ham-oriented.
Yes.
It's especially gracious, I think, to
Yeah.
plant-based people.
Yes.
You know, pigs don't sweat.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. But anyway,
So y'all
I
enjoyed
also,
it?
yeah.
We only give positive reviews here on this podcast.
It's okay. I understand.
good.
Popped in a couple
two
of
places.
little shops. I got a pair of earrings with ice cream cones on them. No, I am not wearing them today. That's why I'm doing this. And then I am learning pickleball. I am becoming I'm becoming very good. So consider yourself called out, Jeremy Lofay.
He's okay.
No, he doesn't
He's
look
pretty
okay. He
good.
looks like he's sweating, getting nervous.
That means
Challenge him to a duel.
he's not a pig.
There.
Right, yes. And Mother's Day for me is kind of a weird one. My mom is gone and our relationship was strained. And my own experience with motherhood has been, it's kind of in suspended animation and not a great place. So, but I feel glad that there's still a place for me to be a part of things that we do at Believers, and still to celebrate the role of mothers, even when it's hard. I think there's a lot to celebrate there. Again, that beauty and the mess exist together. Like it's not one or the other, and that's not what we're trying to represent as Christian people. So.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me of Megan shared a wonderful story yesterday, which was so great. And it reminds me so much of my journey of like sitting in all of those different spaces of like longing and desiring. I became a mother very late. And then how so many people in our village step into those roles of nurturing and helping to raise our kids, and like how much we need each other. And I love that you're able to lean into that. Yeah.
All right, y'all gonna make me cry. She made me cry.
She already cried 2 times.
Yeah, she did. She got me twice yesterday. We had a jam-packed weekend. Friday, I played in a golf tournament, so that's only like once of maybe twice a year I play. So I didn't expect it to go well. So Nate Carl's there. Nate Carl's very good at golf. And so he says beforehand, he's assembled a team. He's like, we're going to win this thing. And I'm texting him along the way. We're playing pretty well, my team is. And I'm like, I think we got him. And I go in there and they beat us by 5 strokes. They won the whole thing. So there was that. It was still fun though. And
so Nate won?
Yeah. Well, they tied for first, and they do a quick, like, doesn't really make sense tiebreaker just because it doesn't quite matter. And he lost the tiebreaker, so they didn't actually win.
Sorry,
they
Nate.
came in with the winning score.
The important thing is that his hair looked beautiful the whole time.
Oh, that's some gorgeous hair.
Yeah. Yep. And then Saturday, all the ball field things. I was just telling Jamie I got asked to be the all-star coach this summer. Yeah.
You got to be heartless.
It's going to be something. We got to like cut players and go to tournaments
The
and
children?
practice.
Yeah, you got to cut the children. I was one of those children. I cried every year.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
I did handle
It
that.
was terrible. I remember getting called from the coach.
Jamie,
Sorry, Jamie.
you did a great
You
try.
did really good. Just didn't make it.
Better than last year, but still quite bad.
Right. But I'd cry, and then Mom would take me to rec league where everything was fine.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So that's a super commitment. We'll see how this first year goes, and I think I'll play it by ear from there. But after that, Saturday night, interesting story. My little sister, had her graduation party. She graduates from college this weekend from CNU. Awesome. But my wife and I started dating 3 months after my sister was born.
Wow.
So like it's always like a crazy like enigma to think where she's at in life and where we've been and
that's
stuff.
wild.
My wife almost beat her in the family. That's the joke. But crazy. So we like as we're dating, I remember holding her and stuff.
Wow.
And now she's graduating college. It's crazy.
I bet your heart is just a puddle right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So we did that on Saturday with family, and then yesterday was great here at church, and then my wife got to do the things she wanted to do yesterday. So
Which was
that part
what?
was pretty relaxing.
What did Lee get to do?
Nothing. And that woman never does nothing. So
Good job.
a nice,
Good job, Joe.
relaxing day
Yeah.
for her was what the doctor ordered.
Nice.
Yep, that was good. So we are in our Bible reading challenge. Last week we finished up Galatians, touched in Psalm again, and now we're almost through First Thessalonians. So what stood out to you guys this week?
For those of you who are listening, not watching, Jamie is pulling it up really quick and reading.
No, I'm not. So not related to our Bible reading challenge, but I'll just share it for what it's worth. I stumbled onto an app called Lectio 365, and I'm using it to supplement my Bible reading. So I'm doing my Bible reading, but then what this does is it has a morning, afternoon, and evening prayer, scripture reflection, and it's really, really good. I'm really, really digging it. And, good vibe music playing, people with foreign accents talking, so it just sounds so much smarter and inspiring.
Cooler.
Yeah. It's really good. And Tyler Stanton, he's the author of the book, Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools. He's also one of the narrators of it. So yeah, just that's been I'm about a week into it, and I'm really liking it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really want to impress my boss, so I'm going to do the rest of the pod.
Yeah. Love that. Say more.
I don't think I can keep it up the entire time.
I bet you could. I feel like you did an entire devotional and circle up that way.
Oh, that did.
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
I forgot about that right there. Very nice.
So how's the midday going? That could be a struggle to break away midday.
Yeah, it's a little shorter. So the morning one is like 10, 12 minutes, and the evening one is a little bit longer. And then the noontime one is like 6-7 minutes. So it's not a super long commitment. So, but it's kind of that thing that I talked about the second week of this series of trying to reconnect yourself during the course of a day to at least being mindful of the presence of Christ in our lives. And that's part of what this does. It kind of talks about like your scattered thoughts and bringing them back and anchoring them back to who Jesus is. I just find it to be super helpful. And even this morning, it talked about, because you can wake up and your mind goes in a million directions, and then just having someone say, let's gather our scattered thoughts and connect them to who Jesus is. Man, it's just so helpful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love that.
That's good.
Anything stand up for you, Rochelle?
For me, there was in Thessalonians, it was 3 and 4.
Okay.
There's this air and this challenge of like, hey, you guys do really well loving each other, but you need to keep stepping your game up.
Do it more.
Yes, do it more. And I love that concept of like, we haven't arrived. I don't care how like sweet and kind we think we are.
That's
we
good.
can always take it further. And it even brought up some of the stuff that we'll get into today where he was talking about when you take it a step further, your love looks like mind your own business and let people be themselves and like approach them with so much grace and patience. So that really
that did kind of stand out 2 times in one chapter.
Yes.
Yeah, you're already doing this, but do it more.
Right.
Really good.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. What stood out to me was also the Thessalonian parts, and just that what's standing out to each of us is so different, and how much room there is for you to have a personal connection, a personal experience with the Bible itself. Yeah. It's all what you bring to that reading or in the app, what you're playing. It is not somebody else's experience will never be what you can expect. And I like to, especially when I start a new book of the Bible, because, the books of the Bible were written in one piece at a time. Right. They were meant to be experienced in a whole piece. So when we read a chapter a day, a chapter the next day, a chapter the next day, it's an opportunity for us to lose context of what's really happening, what the intent of the letter itself is. Like, think a bit about the outlet.
Yeah.
If there was one sentence in every outlet, you would be left with some questions. I hope. I mean, reader of the outlet. You would be left with some questions about it. Yeah. So, particularly when I start a new book, I like to go to our best friends at the Bible Project and watch their 5-minute synopsis video on the YouTubes. And they do talk a mile a minute, so I do not speed up the voice there. But just setting the context that Paul and Silas, they had to like beeline out of there. Everything was going great. But, Caesar, whatnot, they had to dip. And we're expecting that their besties there were struggling as they left, but they were actually doing so well. So I think it's so interesting that Paul prioritizes these writings and how reliant on these encouraging words the early church groups were.
Yeah.
And that is an opportunity and a reminder to us that we need to be encouraging each other regularly and to be challenging each other regularly as we develop our faith.
Yeah, that's good. And First Thessalonians 4 this morning, just a small piece of it touched me a little bit differently than when I've read it in the past. I think we talked about it not that long ago, the second coming, and we had a question come in about when the dead are raised at the second coming with us. What does that look like? When? Where? And it was fun to dive into like the nuances of that and try to provide a response to that. But this morning, I guess probably on the backside of Mother's Day and the challenges that people have around that holiday and the loss around that, I think for me, it's more of a comfort. Like Paul's providing a comfort in Scripture that we can use with our fellow believers with the loss of a loved one. So that's just how what spoke to me this morning.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we had a great message yesterday, continuing our series, What Our World Now Needs Now, and apparently we need patience. Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah.
So I love this first question. I love when you presented it yesterday, Jamie. You opened with this question: when, where, and with who do you tend to have a short fuse?
Yeah.
Now we have to speak about it. Now we got to speak about it.
We have to tell people.
You could lie.
Everybody knows. No need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some stuff.
Well, I know Jamie pointed out definitely tends to be the people who we're closest with.
Yeah.
And I can fall into that category
Yeah,
for sure.
for
And
sure.
I think you feel this safety and vulnerability around them. So it's like, well, they're still going to love me and
Yeah,
be here.
they have to.
Yeah. So I'm just working it out with them so I can be even better out there, which especially like in marriage, I think that's
Part of the
a
deal.
fair dynamic.
part of the
Yes.
deal.
Yeah. We're iron
signed up
sharpening
for it.
iron.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For me, outside of that, I think my toughest one that I've actually been praying a lot through lately is with people who sort of kind of bulldoze through the world, like their agenda is the most important. I actually had a situation like a month ago. It was when the King of Kings movie came out, and we were there, and there was a woman who thought that what her and her granddaughter was doing was more important than everyone else, and like
Interesting.
pushed past us and all this stuff. And I was like, we are going to see a Jesus movie, lady.
Right.
And like trying to find that balance of, you know, how do I show my kids that you matter and like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be pushed around, but also show Jesus. And
Yep.
she like was belittling and put her hands on me and everything. And I was
Wow.
like, you know me, I had to stop these earrings from coming off. I was like, don't touch me. But it was like, I was praying through that whole movie, like, what does it look like to love someone when they're showing up in the world like that?
Yeah.
And that's like one of my toughest things right now is how do I face
Yeah.
my shortness with people like that?
No, that's really good. It makes me think really a little bit of the message coming up this week where we're talking about kindness.
Yeah.
And the contrast between kindness and niceness. So in that situation,
Yeah.
you know, my default would be nice, which isn't necessarily be kind. So I would have probably just shrunk away and done nothing.
Yeah.
But kindness is like what you're trying to demonstrate for your kids, which I
Yeah.
think is just really great.
Earrings on.
Yeah. How do you?
Earrings on.
Yeah.
But engaging.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agency.
Particularly tough in the moment
Oh, yes.
gain that rationale.
Yes. Thankfully, Mama Cheeks was also with us.
Oh,
And
nice.
she's like, baby. Baby. I said, yes, ma'am. We can get you a Mama Cheeks.
Yeah.
That'll help. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, it's similar. I think, and I'm at such a stage of life now that the things that I used to like, I don't get bothered as much as I used to. 'Cause,
You're very
Yeah.
chill out, dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I am, but the stage of life I'm in helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, kids aren't home, you know, all the things that are the normal stressors for people, or just not really like our home is so calm. It's not a,
Sorry, everybody who does not have a calm home. You
Yeah.
can still listen. You'll still get
Yeah.
something out of this, even though Jamie's totally unrelatable.
so I'm sorry. Yeah. This one is not on my struggle bus. Yeah. I've got plenty of things that I struggle with. This just isn't one of them. So.
Let's celebrate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, right.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. That's interesting. And just like what we got out of the Bible reading, the thing that makes my fuse very short right now is so different from everybody else's. And that is when I feel like I don't have enough time to do all the things I must do. I feel squeezed. I feel pressure. And I feel like nobody will help me.
Yeah.
And it makes me a little nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that one because I think that's what gets me to like this. It's usually towards the end of the day. I need time to like unravel. So it's usually with my family, but it's not just them. I have a very unique one, and I have a short fuse with when I'm kind of just in a certain mood or spun up from the day. If people ask several questions back to back to back to back,
You gonna take your earrings off?
And my wife knows this of me, and she does her best to not do it, but sometimes like she has to, and I just try to. Yeah, it's very unique. Yeah, but I have a short fuse.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
She was my supervisor. No.
One
Don't ask too many questions.
Just one at a time. One at a time, please. Let me get some time to think through it and all that. Yeah. So it's all Greek to me. That is what our New Testament was originally translated in. And Jamie, you gave us 2 different words that it shows up in the New Testament for patience.
Right.
The first being don't give up. That was one of the first words in the meaning of patience. Like God is up to something and that he could bring purpose and meaning to our suffering.
Yeah, so patiently endure.
Patiently endure, that's right.
Yep.
Is that
Oh, yeah, can you?
I don't have it.
Off script?
No.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Macrothumia is the second one, but I don't remember the first one. Yeah.
We'll call it hoopo. Hoopo, I like
I heard
that.
a couple chuckles when those words came up. How
It was me, Joe.
What'd you call me?
So that second one actually means don't blow up. Right. And that's really the one that you had us focus on. So will you remind us of what kind of patience that captures for us?
Yeah, so that's like refraining from, blowing up at people. So being patient with people who are pushing your buttons.
Rochelle?
Yeah.
Not acting out against
Taking
someone.
notes.
Yeah. So
Taking
the
notes.
first one is like you're just enduring a situation with patience, and it's a rather internal thing.
Mm-hmm.
This one is dealing with difficult situations and people and being patient with those people that you're dealing with. So more external. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you gave us a to-do list after that, or rather what is not a to-do list, the fruit of the Spirit. It's more about becoming.
Right.
And so what does that look like for you guys, being patient in your own growth as you follow Jesus?
Yeah, patience with, Yeah, this verse doesn't talk about that idea, but it is a good idea to kind of flesh out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, the word is about experiencing patience with others. But I think in the context of the passage that we looked at where Paul's writing to Timothy, and I know you're going to get to that in just a second, but he's using his own experience of God's patience with him to encourage Timothy, I think, to be patient with those in his church. But I do think, there is something about, like, I don't know about all of you, but I'm not very patient with me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my own my own growth and development. I'm pretty hard on myself.
Yeah, same here. It was a tough question to answer, like, holistically without thinking about exactly what you were talking about yesterday. And it didn't feel that great writing this down, but Paul's example of, like, I'm the worst sinner, that kind of helped.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, it helped.
does kind of help.
It helped with my own internal patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His story.
Yeah. I think too, having a just a rhythm of processing what happens in life instead of letting that moment weigh us down is super helpful for me. So it's like, this may have went this way this time, and that's for both my patience with others and with myself. Yeah. This may have happened this way this time, but how am I stepping my game up? Like, how can it be better next time? Yeah. How can I do better with this other person this time? Has been, just super helpful, and just not settling until I've arrived, but always being growth in a growth mindset, and then celebrating the things that went well, like celebrating, hey, my earrings didn't come off this time. Like, that's growth, and leading more into that, like, positive reinforcement
Which
with ourselves.
I don't think we do very much in our culture. Celebrate when we are getting it right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Once one thing is done, we just look forward to the next thing we have to do. I love what you said about not arriving. And I think that is a lesson that really resonates with me regularly. Becoming Christ-like is not a thing you arrive to. It is a process that is going until you are dead.
Yeah.
Period. So for me to remember that no one expects me to achieve a certain level of spiritual maturity or growth at some certain time. And really, it all boils down to what my relationship with Christ looks like, and how I'm connecting with him regularly will determine my growth. It's a relief. All I have to do is focus on being obedient today, focus on 10-10-10-1 for today or this week, if we're talking about that hour of service. And the rest is going to come. And I have seen God's faithfulness so many times in my life and other people's life that even when I cannot see how it could be true, that I'm going to figure this hardship out, it will come, and it will come in orders of magnitude beyond what I can even daydream about. Right. So the pursuit is worthy.
Yeah.
It's even like, you saying that is just bringing a sense of calm.
Right. Yeah. It's
I am a pastor now, so.
I have a pastor now.
I'm just kidding.
I'm under
just guiding everybody.
It's like the prayer that Jamie shared with us. I've already sent it out to my family because it's so good. Yeah. The prayer is, Lord, help me to see this person the way you see them, unfinished but valuable. Yeah. And that's not just them, that's us. Yeah, we're all unfinished but valuable.
Yeah, right.
So good.
Yep.
If you didn't get a chance to get a screenshot of that, don't worry. Jeremy will be getting that on the socials this week because his number one priority. Right, Jeremy?
His number one priority.
Yeah, number one. He has a lot of number one. They're all number one.
They're all number ones. Yeah.
All right, so as promised, let's dig in a little bit to the Apostle Paul's letter of encouragement to Timothy. And you spoke a lot on the cancel culture. Yeah. Can you give us a little insight into their relationship?
Paul and Timothy, So Timothy was a partner in ministry, and he shows up a lot in the New Testament letters of Paul. So he was kind of a right-hand man. At this particular time, he was pastoring the church at Ephesus. Paul left him there to lead that church and help it develop and grow. He was younger than Paul, so he also seems to be probably the one that he has the most confidence in. Paul does, because he puts a lot on him, and more so than there's a lot of different folks that get mentioned around Paul, but Timothy seems to be the one that's carrying a pretty hefty load.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was important for Timothy to see Paul and the way he lays out his own testimony, because I think that's what we do here on earth. The trials and the sufferings that we go through and how we learn through them, we're to help others get through that themselves. I think Timothy was always learning from Paul. Yeah. So in a world that's quick to cancel, where outrage feels like the default response in any disagreement, how do you think the fruit of patience challenges that impulse, especially for us within the church?
Yeah, I mean, it's the exact opposite. So, the whole cancel culture idea is it's almost worse than impatient. It's vindictive. It's acting out in such a way that it almost dehumanizes other people.
Yeah, you said your worst moment is who you are.
Yeah, that's how it gets framed. And that's why it's so easy. Like, if you can do that to someone, if you can freeze them in their worst moment, it becomes easier to dehumanize them and cancel them and celebrate when someone's absolutely been humiliated.
Yeah, that was the
which
part
is
for
what
me.
which is what cancel culture does.
Right, like we're not happy until we see the punishment that
until
comes
there's
from
pain. It's so vicious, really, and it's so un-Jesus-like.
Yeah.
And
it's so the opposite of patience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a thing you said towards the end of your message yesterday. When we put our ego first, we assume we have way more information about a situation that we do. Jesus came to save and commissioned us to take that to the ends of the earth. And we do the opposite when we cancel, when we cut off, when we cut out and cut off people.
Right.
There are circumstances where it's not safe to continue relationship.
Right.
For sure.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Correct.
So if that's not clear to you or you need some help navigating that kind of thing, do reach out. We can help you get connected with
Yeah,
some
we've talked
counseling.
about it rather recently.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we may not be calling people out publicly or trending on social media, but the cancel culture shows up in everyday relationships too. So beyond the examples you gave us of the celebrity type cancel culture, what does it look like when we experience that with a family member or ghost a friend or even leave a church over differences?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've walked with quite a few folks through, just disappointment, particularly like within the church context. So like people who are disappointed with their church family because they see stuff that they're posting or whatever, and they feel like that's super incompatible with Christianity, and so I just can't stand the thought of being in, affiliating with a church family where there are people this out of step with where I am. That's kind of where the conversations that I've had with quite a few people.
Yeah.
And like on the one hand, I kind of get it. And on the other hand, what they're asking for from someone else to see them and see their perspective, they're unable to do the other way. So like it does go both ways. And I empathize far more with one side of that equation than the other.
Yeah.
But it applies both ways. And so like all of us could do better,
Right.
No matter where your perspective is coming from. All of us could do a little better at being patient with people who are not like us.
Yeah.
And, in our political climate, it's easier to empathize with people who are aligned with me politically. But this patience thing, it has to cross that aisle.
Yeah.
And it has to do that unfortunately, like the politics of it has invaded everything. So the politics of it is also the faith of it. Like it's bled into all of these arenas.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it just does make it a little complicated. But we are called to, if Jesus came to save sinners and Paul is the worst of them all, then we are called to be patient with people who are the worst in our assessment of them. They're the worst of them all.
Yeah.
Then we are called to be patient with them too.
Right.
Yeah. I think too, just on a human, like in our humanity and the way we develop, so many times our core relationships, when they don't reflect that not canceling each other culture, it can be really hard to replace it with a new outlook on it. So it's the same way with that idea of when we don't have that father figure that we longed for, and we struggle to see Jesus and, to see God as a father figure in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And I see my family, I'm so blessed, like so thankful, because I was raised in a family where like you don't give up on each other. Like you don't cancel each other out no matter what is going on. And even I know like my husband, I came into their family and there's some dynamics where some people have been canceled and it's jarring to me because that's not how my brain was shaped. And so like even us working through, okay, well, what does that look like? How do we align it with the gospel culture of not shutting people off? And he is so great, was already like on that journey. I tell people all the time, like, Jesus was working on that man before he knew Jesus was working on him. But like him being drawn to even bridging those gaps with family members and things like that. And I think that it shapes us so strongly into that. But the cool thing is we don't have to be raised in a family that doesn't have culture. We can be doesn't have the culture of not canceling, the culture of reconciliation.
Right.
We can be a part of these groups that practice that, and our church can become that to share that with the world. I think about like 12-step programs. That is some of my favorite rooms to be in.
Me too.
Like AA and Al-Anon and Nar-Anon and all of that, because it's such a important foundation of we are all in a different space and a different time on our journey, and it can be tough and hard, and we might not understand. We might want to cut them off, but there's a term they say in there called detach with love, which I think speaks to those boundaries that we still have to set, where we can still have these tough relationships. We can still love someone, we can still choose them, but have a healthy boundary with them and not cancel them and who they are. Right. And we got to see the fruit of that in our family yesterday, which was so cool. So I'm sorry if I cry, but my one of my family members has been struggling with mental health, addiction, that sort of stuff, has been homeless. And we all, just as best as we could, just loved on him as much as we can. And I saw him recently with the kids, and, he was out on the street, and he gave me this sign that he wrote, and I put it in my window, and I've just been praying over him. And I was like, I can't be like, what are you doing? Because he's chosen this lifestyle. I couldn't shut him out, even though I wanted to, for safety, to be like, oh, that's just my cousin over there. And so we've been praying over him. And he came to church yesterday with my aunt. And they sent, not here, to church with my aunt at her church. There but other churches. But just to celebrate that and what it looks like to not give up on someone. It was just so cool after hearing this message.
So good.
When you close the door, you close the door. Nothing else can happen when we do that.
Yeah.
Right.
The risk is worth it.
And it's not Christ-like. Yeah. Yep. So that leads us right into the big idea. On the flip side, patient people promote a gospel culture rather than a cancel culture. Jamie, can you dive into a little bit of what is gospel culture?
Yeah, we've been hitting on it. So it's this idea that, when Jesus, the gospel culture is Jesus, right? So it's what he modeled. And he comes into the world, and, boy, the people, the conservatives are really bristled by Jesus, because he does not, those who are social outcasts are his inner circle.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing with Jesus. Why are you eating with such scum? That's one of the accusations against Jesus, from the religious leaders. But that was what he came to do.
Right. Yeah.
And so, in his inner circle, he's got a tax collector as one of his disciples. And they were despised people in that day and time. There's several times in the gospel it'll say sinners and tax collectors, because tax collectors was another category of the sinful. We can't just lump them in with sinner. They have to be their own category of bad,
They would have been canceled.
They 100% would have been canceled. And there he is, part of the inner circle of Jesus. And so that's what gospel culture looks like. It's going to the margins and not just tolerating, but, meeting people there, walking with them there, loving them there. It's so counter what our current culture is.
Right. Right. And I want to ask this. If you have any thoughts on it, you can certainly share, but I just want to make mention of it. If you haven't watched the sermon yet and didn't get to hear it yesterday, Jamie asked, this is a tough one to wrestle with. If God was as patient with you as you are with others, where would you be today?
Oh, gosh. I think we all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think we
a bit rhetorical. We can move on. Right. So how can we lengthen our fuse then? What are some practical ways that we can do this? And the first one you walked us through is pause. We can pause. Any tips for that? Do we have an app for that?
Jamie does. He's on the app kick.
I am.
I've got the Bible Project. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's really good.
I think it's worth just reiterating that what Jesus does so well is separate people from their behavior. We love the people, we hate their behavior. And that is what I think about when I pause. How do I love this person and separate them from the behavior that is affecting me negatively? And maybe I do need to confront it. Like you probably, I don't know, at the movie theater when that lady was putting her paws on you, good night. But he does that so well. And it's so, we take a good idea and we pervert it. That's what we do, right? We find something we like and we manipulate it to make it easiest for us to do. So this good idea that Jesus had, this fruit of the Spirit thing, we think because based on this fruit of the Spirit, if we see bad fruit in you, I know who you are. So we're conflating and combining two different ideas that are not meant to be combined. Yes, the fruit of the Spirit, apple comes from an apple tree. And if you see a rotten apple coming off of me, you know that there's some sickness in me. But that doesn't mean I'm not valuable.
Right.
It doesn't mean I am not worth helping to introduce to Jesus, because that rotten apple, that's what that means.
Yeah.
You are far from Jesus. It's an opportunity for us to help each other.
Not chop down
in
the apple
those
tree.
spaces. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at when I pause. Separate the person from the behavior.
Yeah, that's good.
And is this a thing I need to get crazy about right now?
Right.
Yeah.
Probably not.
24 hours?
24
Yeah.
hours.
Great policy.
24 hours.
If you've forgotten by then,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my marriage counselor tells me. Wait a day. If it's still a big deal, then
Right.
Yep.
discuss it like loving people do.
Yeah.
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 And off of that, I think that you're giving the Holy Spirit room to work too, because I know that when I pause and wait 24 hours or longer, the things that are still in my heart is what the Holy Spirit is identifying as, you need to run after this. And you need to,
Yeah, and there's a science to it. I think that our bodies are just a worship center, and he dwells there, and the way he designed us, there's a science to when something happens, it triggers a part of our brain in response that it needs time to get up to the part of our brain where we can make the decision with Jesus of how we're going to respond.
Impulse
and react.
control.
Yes, yeah. So it's like giving ourselves space for that and to connect to the vine, right? Even on the Pause app, it's talking about reconnect, because right now if I'm out here rogue responding to this trigger, then I'm not going to be able to let it be from the Holy Spirit. So it gives us that time. Another little tip, I have a tattoo of a pause symbol on my finger. Just in case you need a reminder. There's a little, she needs to get freshened up. Yeah. It's a good reminder.
So did you look at that when the lady had her paws on you?
Oh, no, yes, yeah.
She went
I can point my finger down. I'm going to take a minute. When I go to point at someone, I got to pause.
So,
There's something else that happens too in our bodies. You were talking about like what happens in our minds, but once adrenaline kicks in too,
Yes.
Your ability to be under the Spirit's control is greatly diminished.
Right.
And so pausing so that those chemicals have an opportunity to leave your bloodstream, very helpful.
There's actually a little exercise you can do when you find yourself in that situation and you're in that situation. Your heart be pounding, your view gets tunneled, forcing yourself to take 3 deep breaths in and out slowly will I'm not joking. It sounds woo-woo, but it's science-based. There's data there that it resets your central nervous system and it reminds your body that you are not in a fight or flight situation. So just...
Yeah, that's good.
3 times.
Yeah, that's good. So the next tip you gave us, and I think for me, one of the transformational pieces I had in my life in my early 20s when I was not the person I wanted to be was I had to keep reminding myself to give people the benefit of the doubt. And that kind of changed things for me. And yesterday you said that in a different way. Assume people are in the process just like you are. I think that's so good.
Yeah.
How can we do that?
How can
we assume, especially in that moment, that's a good way to do it, the breathe 3 times. But how can we assume people and give them the benefit of the doubt that they are in the process just like we are?
I think about that prayer again.
Yeah.
But putting those things in your memory so that when you're in those moments, that's what's spewing out.
Yeah.
So we have to take that time in our alone time to commit
That's good.
that mindset to memory.
So it pops back.
So
in
it
the moment,
pops back,
right?
yeah. Because I mean, I'm not gonna be like, let me
Right.
pull out that screenshot. What Jamie said.
One moment, please.
When I'm in this tree. Yes, yeah. But making that sort of stuff a part of our practice and meditation. Yeah. Well, I think just to go back to the good old faithful, I think it's in the Lord's Prayer. Like,
Yeah.
help me not to, lean into temptation and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And another tip you gave us was to practice grace in relationships that you kind of honestly want to give up on.
Yeah.
I'm the peacemaker, I think, in my family. And
Yeah.
so I can relate to you very well on that, Rochelle. But there is a bit of a fight or flight when I have, turmoil within relationships or see even other family members in there because it sparks in me that we're not going to give up. We're a family.
Yeah. That's so good. Practicing grace in relationships.
It's so hard.
Because people are people.
Well,
That's why it's hard.
and we are also people.
Right.
We are not immune to the equation. And I think about the big brother in the prodigal son story. I feel like that's so much in these moments. It's not fair that you get to do that you get to treat me that way, and I am going to be Jesus, and you won't even notice.
Right.
You won't even see it. It's not going to change anything at all. That is the enemy working on me, y'all.
Yeah.
The enemy is telling me nothing about this will ever change. But I have seen it. And because you all have been followers for a long time, I know you've seen it too. You've seen God do things in situations that seemed utterly hopeless.
Yeah.
When we are obedient to God and we pursue him through worship, prayer, and study, he will open our eyes and this task will become easier. It does.
Yeah.
And that's where the hope comes.
That's good.
Yeah. Real good.
Yeah, that's good. Just to share a quick tip that a buddy of mine, Kirk Ferris, gave me.
Oh, I know him.
I love Kirk Ferris.
He is incredible. And he told me it was in a different lens, but it plays here for sure. Practicing grace in a relationship that you want to give up on, he tells you to play the tape all the way through.
Yeah.
And I think you can, because you're obviously in this moment where you want to give up. So you are spun up with this relationship. And just play the tape all the way through. What does life look like with this relationship, severed?
Yeah.
What does it look like in a few years? And is that where you really want to be?
Yeah.
That's so good. I thought you were doing a sports analogy, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" Because then you get the touchdown. Yeah, same concept.
I get it.
And then finally, we got to our 10-10-10-1 rule. Stay connected to the spirit, not to the outrage that you're feeling.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea with that is just if we do the little things, the little spiritual disciplines, but then we don't throttle back on the amount of other stuff that we're allowing into our lives, those little things aren't going to be enough. They're not sufficient enough. So, yeah, it's just trying to think through what am I a disciple of, culture or of Jesus? And if I'm going to actually do that, I've got to be intentional about the time I spend with Jesus versus the time I spend being discipled by the culture that's trying very hard to disciple us.
Yeah.
And the truth is, over the last 5 years, we have witnessed the church, not just believers, but the church in general, has definitely been more discipled by culture than by Christ. And it's not pretty. And the church has suffered greatly because of that. And so, yeah, if we want to take seriously this idea of being disciples of Jesus, then we have to think through that 10-10-10-1. Having twice as much Jesus content as I do culture content. That's really like the 10 is, scripture reading and prayer, and then 10 of everything else.
Only 10.
Only 10
Only
of
10
everything else.
of news consumption.
Not 10 news, and 10 social media, and your favorite celebrity.
And that's
gossip.
hard. Like, I get it. It is hard, and it is definitely countercultural, but that is precisely what we're being called to be countercultural.
Imagine what can happen when you do that. That's my challenge.
Right.
Like, let's try it for a week. Let's everybody commit, listener, to doing this for a week and see what happens. Write it down. Write it in. We want to know.
Yeah, I shared from the leadership development program on Saturday. One of the folks that is participating did the abstaining leading into Easter through the Lenten season, and TV was one of the things that went away. And what came in its place was he started hearing from God about what God wants to do in him and through him, and what God's calling him towards that he probably never would have heard had he not turned some of those things off, you know? And I think that's what God wants to do for all of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. Another like practical tip, I think you talked about this too a few weeks ago, was do I grab my phone before my Bible? And it was like, that's such a hard challenge, because you're like, but there's all the text from the night and I'm turning my alarm off. But you could just say alarm off and grab your Bible. But I think it even just speaks to the state of where we are in our culture and how like reliant we are on it. So that's something like even me, I've been trying. I don't need to read the text before I read that, because then I'm filtering all of that in my 10 minutes. And then I just absolutely love, so we talked about the 10 minutes of reading the Bible, 10 minutes in prayer, 10 minutes of news consumption, which also you've given such great ideas for where to consume that news in a responsible way. Do you want to plug those real quick?
1440, pour over, both of those. And there's a pour over for families too, and I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Oh,
Is
nice.
it the decaf or something like that?
They don't eat caffeine. Those
but it is pour over. It is, which I can't recommend that highly enough.
It's very good.
It's so good. And if you just did it, you would only really read the news 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, that would
Even
mess
better.
some of you up. I know it would. But the pour over for families, they go through current event news stories, but in a way that you can talk with your kids about those news stories, which I just think is so great. And then after the story, there's okay, Christians, here's how we respond to this, which is always so helpful. And then a Bible verse that gives you some Christian perspective on it. So the pour over I can't recommend highly enough.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love that. And then the last was serving.
Yes.
Which I'm the outreach director, so obviously
Go
I was
ahead
like,
and do it.
Opportunity.
Go ahead and do it.
Serve.
Let's go.
I was like, I got one for you this week, y'all.
Going on Saturday.
I signed up to be a
Don't
vendor.
tell 'em about it.
I did it last night. I'm
Tell
so
'em
excited
about
to be a vendor.
Yes, so we have our free market happening, which is such a great way. And guess what? You can like stack up on the next 3 weeks because it's like a 3-hour service.
There you go.
But it goes by really fast.
Does it work that way?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
You still got to serve an hour
No
next
punch
week.
card. No punch card.
Yeah, but like what a big challenge for
Yes.
to say I need to give an hour of my life serving someone else weekly. I just think that's so great. But we have this Saturday, May 17th coming up, our free market that's going to be happening at a partnering school at Colonel Fred Cherry Middle School. And you can find all the information on our website. You can sign up as a vendor to give away all the things you spring cleaned that are gently used or new items. And we're inviting the community just to come and get the things we need. It's not a switcheroo thing. It's just giving stuff away.
No switcheroos. No
switcheroos.
tradesies.
Yeah, it's at 9, so a little
it's not a swap meet.
It's not a swap meet.
Not a
Not a swap meet.
Yes.
Just to clear that up.
And our students will be out there helping us
And
too.
our students will be helping, and Cherry students will be serving
Oh, really?
with us.
Oh, that's amazing. I
A
love
lot
that.
of opportunities to do great things and represent believers while there. So wear your made for more shirt.
Yes.
Here for good, sure.
Here,
for
that's
good.
what I meant. So
Here for good.
I'm going to hear
for
about
good.
that later, y'all.
Yeah, you are.
Pray for me. Pray for
fix it in
Jeremy.
post.
he's gonna be patient with me. But I live in Ghent, so like I want to loop in my community there wherever I have the opportunity to. But because of where we live, there are much more practical options for most of the people who live around me.
Yeah.
So I just sent a text to my neighbor over here, and said, hey, we're participating in this cool event with my church. If you have any stuff,
Oh, that's good.
bring it over. If you want to come,
Yeah.
here's the link.
Right.
Nice.
Like
Yeah.
I'm, as many times as we can multi-purpose
That's so
everything we
good.
do, we should be
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
love that. So yeah, inviting your neighbors who are maybe
Your
not church goers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even inviting, what I love about what you just shared is inviting them to participate in the giveaway.
Yeah.
It's so
Right.
great. I love that.
And people want to do that.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
we're learning as we examine our neighborhoods and what people who need the church are coming for and what people who don't come to church cite their reasons as. Those people who are far from our church communities do still want community.
Yes.
Yep.
So the more we can do to make us look less weird and crazy, like it's not a jump. It's just another community that you can be a part of.
And we are a little weird.
I mean, no more than anyone else.
Crazy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Everyone's
won't
normal
make
until
it
you get to
weird.
know them.
Don't make it weird.
We won't
Don't
make it weird. We just are weird.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, friends, that is all we have time for today. So go out there and practice that patience. This Sunday, we are continuing our series, What Our World Needs Now, and our world needs kindness. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We'll be on campus at 9 and 10:45. Come join us. It is Baptism Sunday. We make a big deal about that. So come join us and celebrate those getting baptized. If not, check us out at 1 o'clock on YouTube. Until then, go and be love.